Oh yeah, my name is Greg Carr. For anybody that doesn't know, I work here at Howard, and I'm fortunate enough to work here. I didn't go here, so let me keep the trains moving on time. I appreciate that. So let's start then. And there's no right way to do this, wrong way to do this very broadly. So we're going to do a very quick libation because we know that this is sacred space, and that's why we're here. We all love Howard. We all love our people. So with that in mind, I'm going to pour a quick libation. We'll pour first into the grass, this water, which our bodies are made of primarily, realizing that the thing that animates us, the thing we cannot see, many names, different names for it. The Yoruba people may call it the ashe, the power to animate, to make things happen. It really doesn't translate, but in that moment, we're going to pour our first pour to that force that animates us, that surrounds us, that we are part of, that's part of us, and it keeps us from where we came from to where we're going to go in this brief moment we call life. Ashe. We're going to continue to pour. We pour to that force as it found its way onto this little ball that we call the earth. Ashe. We pour to all those forces that congealed on the continent of Africa and combined to create the human race, the Africans who walked out of Africa and populated the entire earth. Ashe. We pour then to their children, our ancestors who found their way across the continent, who did not leave the continent immediately, who went by the great river basins, who came through the great rivers, the Limpopo, the Zambezi, the Nile, the Niger, the Congo, and all the waterways. Ashe. We pour to their children, our ancestors who, having settled into those places, developed the first systems for understanding and charting the stars, for the first systems to understanding themselves, who created the first societies, who cooked the first meals, who created the first ways of knowing, and then created the institutions that allowed us to pass that information on from generation to generation to generation, right into this moment. Ashe. We pour to their children, our ancestors, who then, having done all of this, living sometimes in conflict, but resolving their conflicts, creating cultures that figured out a way not only to live together, but to grow together, were set upon by their children who no longer recognized them, who had walked out of Africa and gone into inhospitable places and adapted those places and came back with an attitude and began to attack their parents who did not no longer recognize. Ashe. We pour to their children, our ancestors who, having been set upon by their children who no longer recognized them, were cast adrift, who found themselves in Port-au-Spain, Trinidad, who found themselves in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, who found themselves in Cuba, who found themselves in New Orleans and Charleston and all over the Western Hemisphere, having found themselves commingling with the First Nations people of this hemisphere who were set upon. We call upon those ancestors to be with us today, who found the languages of their children stuffed into their mouths, but who learned that French and Spanish and Dutch and Portuguese and English and figured out a way to call for the ancestors to be and resist. Ashe. We pour to their children, our ancestors who, having resisted, whether it be the Haitian Revolution, whether it be Ganga Zumba in Brazil, whether it be Nanny of the Maroons, whether it be the Africans of the Great Dismal Swamp of this region, whether it be the Africans in Louisiana, and those who had the great rebellions, Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Prosser, those like Harriet Tubman, Araminta on the eastern shore of Maryland, those like Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henri Christophe, and Toussaint Louverture in Haiti. Every African, those who could not resist physically, resisted with their souls, resisted for their minds, and prayed for this generation to come. Ashe. We pour to their children, our ancestors who, having been set upon, then fighting their way out of enslavement, washed the clothes, mopped the floors, drove the cars, cooked the meals when they couldn't even eat in the same kitchen that they had prepared the meals. We pour to those ancestors who are our direct bloodline ancestors. And in this moment, we want everybody to either say out of your mouth or hold in your heart the names of those bloodline ancestors that worked for you to attend this institution, that sacrificed so that you could be here, who are no longer with us physically, but who never leave us because we wear their faces. Our blood is their blood. Let's call our bloodline ancestors. Haywood Carr, Pascal Carr, D. Carr, Thomas Hayes Jr., Gussie Hayes, Della Williams, Doc Hayes, Nancy Hayes, Peter Hayes, Mamie Hayes. And as those names continue, we now pour our national ancestors. And by nation, I don't mean these little silly lines called the United States of America. I mean the Black nation worldwide. Let's call our heroic ancestors who, when we call their names because they sacrificed for us, we lift them. Marcus Garvey, Ashe. Ella Joe Baker, Ashe. You hear the names, y'all can call the names. Ashe, 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 Ashe. And now, because we are at Howard University, we now call the names of the Howard ancestors who walked this campus, who taught us, who are no longer here physically, but who crafted each and every one of us. We call those ancestors, including the ones we have lost over the last 2 years of this disease. Let's call some of the name of the Howard ancestors. Evans Crawford, Ashe. James Donaldson, Ashe. Jeff Donaldson, Ashe. Mers Tate, Ashe. Elaine Locke, Ashe. Eric Williams, Ashe. Come on, y'all, let's get some of these names. And then y'all got some teachers out there that you know are ancestors now. You think about Ashe, no question. Come on now, Ashe. Ashe, these children need to hear those names because they don't hear those names on this campus enough. And that's why we're here today. Ashe, 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 Ashe. There we go, Ashe. And so we pour 2 more. One for everyone who could not be here physically, but who was here, either watching the stream or watch this later, but who each one of us represents countless numbers who are bound together by one simple principle. We are one. We call for them to know that we represent you and we will report what has happened here today, Ashe. And finally, we pour to the beautiful ones who are not yet born. The children of the youngest child here who will say, they were the link in the chain that let me come to school at Howard in 2030, in 2040, in 2050, in 2060. This was the link because this is the moment we declared we love this place enough to transform it into the thing it was supposed to be, even when the founders themselves had no idea, because we are the children of Africa. And the thing that they think they have imagined, we forgot before they even tried to begin to think about it. We're going to transform this place. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Ashe, all right. No, Baba. We 5 to 7 minutes because we waiting on you, brother. This is the point. So the first moment we will have today is our brother, one of our colleagues, one of our newest colleagues, Dr. Anthony Jackson. The students had a rally on Friday, and this brother spoke so beautifully and powerfully. And I took mental notes and went down and wrote down everything you said when I got home, bro. So sociology, right? Yeah. Yes, indeed. Professor of sociology, Dr. Jackson, Anthony Jackson. Come on to the microphone, brother.
Y'all hear me good? All right. I'm happy to be right here right now. I see so much love in the room, in this space. And I wrote something for y'all and, oh, better? All right, cool. Well, I'm just gonna get started. Can y'all hear me good like this? Okay, cool. Over the years at our beloved Howard University, we have walked in the legacy of our ancestors in upholding truth and service by challenging systems and structures that seek to control, exploit, and oppress the Black body and in this all of humanity. We carry the torch of liberty and the generations of Black intellect that has shown us how to wield it, how it pierces through the darkness and unveils the deeds of the wicked, how its flame does not come from outside of us, but from within. This is the flame of liberation that burns deep in our hearts with a fire that is hotter than the sun. Through our learning, our teaching, our individual and collective striving for righteousness, we strengthen our fire. We ignite the torch of liberty and we shine the path forward to life and life abundant. We are Howard University, the students, the faculty, the staff, the alumni, and we have a responsibility to uphold truth in service, not in word and talk, but in deed through our actions. Although we are fighting for our freedom, we must remember that the truth is we are born free and everywhere we are in chains. The world has always had a problem with the truth, and even when it walked among us, some of us did not recognize it. The way, the truth, and the life that we have is a gift of grace, and although the world may try to convince us that we are still in bondage, it knows not just who we are, but what we are, and the power that we have, and the victory that was already given to us. So now we say, let us not let the world make any attempt to kill, steal, and destroy what is already ours, the freedom that we were born with. We are at the helm of a revolutionary fight against a repressive regime that has continuously tried to dismantle historically Black colleges and universities all across this nation.
As we look around the world, we bear witness to the death and destruction that is in our midst, manifested by and through political polarity, the growing gap of wealth and poverty, waters being poisoned, homelessness, famine, mass incarceration as neo-enslavement, ecocide, and an aggressive killing of the masses of Black bodies through policies and practices designed to disrupt us and our communities. We are experiencing a motion towards fascism, and the fight against it is now at our doorstep. Fascism, by its very nature, is dehumanizing. It devalues the lives of the people that do not represent or act in its interest. Fascism has a white supremacist social base, and it infiltrates communities to divide and conquer in an effort to destroy its opposition. HBCUs stand in direct opposition to any and all forces that attempt to attack the Black body, the Black community. Our job is to build our people up. Howard University in particular, we develop scholars that take on the charge of leading this fight. So the question becomes, how have fascist forces infiltrated Howard University, and what will we do about it? What are the conditions here at HU? For students, they have mold in their dorms, obstructing their ability to breathe, making them physically ill, impacting their potential for academic success. There are inadequate essential resources such as dirty water in academic buildings. We have no Wi-Fi. Access to resources are scarce, if not limited, where students have to use their personal hotspots to be in class. And this is assuming that their personal or family financial situation allows them to do so. Non-tenure track faculty, we are not getting paid livable wages, if we are getting paid at all. You can have a PhD and make $65,000 or even less than $50,000 to live in an area like DC, where the median household income is $92,000. We have no job security that contracts and allows our faculty to be full-time. We have a 7-year cap, and we have no arbitrary date on when we are going to be able to be on full-time. We have increased classroom sizes with no substantive increase to pay for compensation for increased workload. Our students can't contact the professors. Professors are trying to reach out to the students to make sure everybody's good. We don't have access to Blackboard. All of these are microcosm of a much larger issue, and that is the attack that is on our doorstep. There have been several accounts of faculty not being paid at all. For instance, a former faculty member and alumni of HU worked over a year ago and still has yet to be paid. This is not a myth. This is by design. And amidst all of the conditions that adversely impact the students and the faculty, Howard University's administrative body makes a rule to remove students, faculty, and alumni seats from the Board of Trustees, effectively taking away our voice and voting power to create substantive change that directly impacts us as major, if not primary, constituent groups. Is this not strategic? To quiet the voices of the people that are being repressed? We are fighting for shared governance, transparency, adequate resources, fair pay, job security, fair teaching conditions, better housing, living and learning conditions. We are fighting for a better Howard, where we have an opportunity structure to fulfill our mission of truth and service, where we are supported institutionally as well as in the spirit. We are fighting for the Black community in unity, with compassion. And an old proverb reminds us that better is open rebuke than hidden love. So we will continue to openly rebuke the grip of fascism that seeks to nestle in our midst. We all love Howard University, and we encourage our people to come and join us at the Mecca, where we have come to learn, know, and teach that we are the lights of this world. And it is our responsibility to shine and to bring our people out of the shadows of death and destruction and into the life of light and liberation.
Protect that brother at all costs, because he's one of those 19 track faculty. We don't want to leave. We don't want to lose you. We want you to be here because you're here, and these young people love that brother. And I just wanted to say that very quickly to make the point that we know what you represent, brother. All those women and men who have been in these tents sleeping with these young people out here in support, who teach them, y'all know, in communications and arts and sciences and education, a lot of teaching. And you're absolutely right. So y'all remember Dr. Jackson and Anthony Jackson, and everybody like him because they don't come for them first. They haven't negotiated with the union, brother, but we know, we're well aware. So before we bring up the chair of our faculty senate, we want Sister April to come. We did an opening of the way in English, but it's always good to have a little entreaty to those ancestors for whom English was a foreign tongue. So please, Sister April, will you come and open the way for us? All right.
Y'all look good. Can we clap for ourselves? Can we clap for this good energy? And the fact that we pushed past the barriers and the rain and the traffic, y'all look good. So I just want to just say this just really quickly as an opening. We always say everybody has an ancestor, regardless of your religious or spiritual practice. We all have ancestors. So we started with that. Is it okay with you if I do a little bit focus on the African when we say African American? Is that okay? In terms of saying a prayer, it's going to take about 90 seconds. It's going to be in a language that you don't know, but you will be able to feel it if your heart is open, because I will be speaking in another language, ancient, poetic, sacred language that we chant in Ifa. And it is a way for us to give thanks to the Creator. And it's different, but is that okay? Okay. And I got the band behind me too. You can bow your heads if you want to. You can close your eyes if you want to, but you don't have to. This is a sacred language. I'll be speaking in Yoruba. Tiwombada, ogunda bodo besile. Oma wafete, oma wafemo, oma wafeti balele, adifafon oludumare kasira batakari aye, kosion tololon kolese, boba sojo asoda moka tutu aseka mobio ye, kosion tololon kolese, ise olorunga, oma juti ene alo. What I just said, for those who might not be familiar, is a prayer of gratitude and expression to the Creator. The fact that we woke up this morning and we have breath in our life, breath in our lungs, and we are here and alive and with each other, that is a victory. No matter what is going on in your life, we are here. We are breathing life together. And that is a prayer that says thank you to the Creator who gave us life this day. So I would ask that we would continue to treasure our lives individually and collectively. And we want to pay homage to all of those who are connected in whatever spiritual path, or maybe not at all. But what we have in common is that we are here breathing life. So let's treasure life. Let's treasure this experience that we have had on this sacred ground called Howard University, and the paths that we walk beyond these gates. Aseo.
Thank you, Sister April. One of our colleagues and a number of faculty here today, one of our colleagues, Jules Harrell, y'all probably know Professor Rell over in psychology. He often tells the freshmen every year that a university is the faculty and the students, and everyone else is here in support of that learning enterprise. And we know that all the adults on this campus, the older adults, are responsible for all the younger ones. And so it is a pleasure to bring to the microphone the brother who is the elected representative of the faculty of Howard University. He is the chair of the Howard University Faculty Senate, and an alum of this institution. Indeed, my brother Dr. Martin Alford.
I will be brief. Oh, how's this? Is it better? All right. I will be brief. I'm going to just answer, well, first, my name is Marcus Alfred. I'm going to answer 3 questions. 1, who am I? The second, what could Howard University look like? And finally, what kind of leadership would make that happen? All right. So who am I? I'm an alum of Howard. I graduated in 2000 with my PhD in physics. I lived actually over here at the Howard Manor. I remember the lines trying to get vaccinated, validated. I'm a faculty member. I'm in the Department of Physics and Astronomy. I bring in about $1 million every year in grant money. Produce about 10 papers through my collaborations each year. I teach computational physics, nuclear and particle physics, plasma physics, and astrophysics. I'm an African American. I'm a descendant of American slaves. My folks, my people come from Texas and Louisiana. I was born in California. I'm Christian. I believe in him, and I live by my faith. I'm chair of the Faculty Senate. We've got 900 plus members, and I'm the spokesperson for the organization. So why am I even saying all this? All these experiences, these hats that I wear, they kind of tell me what could Howard look like. And I'd like to say what it could look like. We should have resources. We could have resources for scholars, all kinds of scholars, for students. Our students could go here for free. Safe, comfortable, and convenient housing for our kids. They can learn in a healthy environment. And what do I mean by that? We want to help them become the people they want to be. For grad students, I'm not sure if y'all are here. Grad students, you can get paid on time. For our faculty members and our PhD, our folks with PhDs, scholars, especially in our communities, you can have services that work. You could have offices and classrooms and labs that don't kill you or make you sick. For my faculty members, adjuncts, you can get paid on time. You could defend your ideas without fear of retaliation. Resources for investment. For our alums that want to start businesses for our communities. This could be a place for that. For our folks that are in the DMV area, jobs here at Howard University. You can have a safe environment to work with great morale and benefits that are increasing, not shrinking. Resources for our communities, for some of our national associations, National for Physics, National Society of Black Physicists, National Society of Black Engineers. You could have a home here for your annual conferences and not have to pay. And of course, Howard could be a home for discussions that our communities need, discussions that we're not having right now. We do need. So how do we get a Howard that looks like this? We need a board and a president. We need a board and a president that understand and believe in integrity, competence, and transparency. So what does that mean? That means you do the right thing. We take care of one another. You gotta be more than competent, more than competent. And finally, folks have gotta trust you. We need a board and president that need to listen to the faculty, to the alums and community, and the students. You can't just listen to the consultants. That's right, brother. And you can't just talk to each other. It can't be an echo chamber. That's right. It can't be an echo chamber. That's right. We've got faculty that are some of the best scholars on the planet. And they've been here for decades. You can't, that experience is priceless. Alums, community members, you are the reason why we do our research. Our research is supposed to benefit y'all. That's why we have tenure. Students are students. What you say and what you think will determine if our community survives. We have to listen to them. The board and the president, they have to listen to them. So in summary, I tried to say who I am and what my hats have been, and the experiences that come with those hats kind of tell me what Howard could be. And I tried to say what kind of leadership we need to actually get there. And finally, I think the kind of Howard I described, it would bring a smile to the faces of my parents, my advisor, my mentors, my friends, and my heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Young people have a song. I'm too old to know exactly the provenance of it, but they had this thing where they say, I understood the assignment. Dr. Albert understood the assignment. Asked those 3 questions and answered them. So you heard from several of our faculty, and now you will hear from some of our stalwart alum, beginning with a sister representing the capstone group that has been literally on the ground the last month, and before that, forming very powerful, not only ideas and leadership and providing that with us. And so without any further ado, please, Sister Claudette Johnson, would you please come?
Good evening, everybody. And I hope those who are streaming is sharing with all the Howard folks who aren't present on this yard. That's right. Because there needs to be more people out here, not just those who've traveled here through various challenges to get here this afternoon. But I'm representing the capstone group. I'm alumni. I graduated from the College of Fine Arts. I was born in Jamaica and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and made my way here to Howard University, and presently live on what we fondly call Howard Campus South in Bowie, Maryland. I have a message. I have a message for those of you who are assembled here this afternoon, because we're talking about love for this institution and what it looks like. Make no mistake that we have a deep love for Howard University. Okay, this institution afforded us many opportunities and has given us the chance to work collectively in a delegation known as Bison Nation to make a difference around the world. But you must understand that love does not make us blind to the needs of the university, the campus, or the community. The capstone group was designed because we recognize that this university doesn't just exist for the students or the faculty, it also exists for the community, and that extends into diaspora. What Howard does matters. It matters not just here in our backyard, but it matters around the world. So I hope you will indulge me to give a message to those of you assembled here, those who are listening, those who are missing, and those who need to hear this message. We have a need to work together in love for this university. This university means a lot to many of us. And that love requires us and it demands us to do things that make a difference. The love for the university requires us to have respect. It requires us to work in kindness, and it requires us to think about the future that's ahead, not just for the students here, but those generations ahead and yet to come. We're living in a 21st century, but we're preparing for the 22nd century. And Howard is essential to that roadmap. It must create a playbook so that we can all live, thrive, and have a difference in our lives based upon what we learn here on these hallowed grounds. This love for this university requires us that Howard has to make a difference and start measuring up against the aspirations and the dreams of its primary stakeholders, the students, the faculty, and by and large, the alum and the community. It's about the current reality on the ground at Howard that brings us all here this afternoon. There's a high price for securing and the best return required of the investments. Our current students are paying over $200,000 minimum just to get a bachelor's degree at this institution. There have been many who fall into the wayside because of different challenges, but they have at least expended $50,000 for that opportunity. This university is required to take input from the community, from the students, and those who are impacted by its actions. None of us who are assembled within the reach of my voice this afternoon has not encountered what I've come to learn is the Howard hurt, okay? We've all had personal challenges. We've encountered major difficulties. We had to learn how to navigate this place, okay? Alma mater is no joke. By the time you graduate from this institution, my friend, you will have learned many valuable lessons inside and outside the classroom, okay? Your Howard experience, you have learned through your Howard experience what you'll need to do. Your takeaway is how to survive and thrive and how to make a difference for yourself and others. You'll be able and very capable of representing yourself and your community in any room or any space where you happen to be in. Okay, so what does Howard look like as a future institution? First and foremost, the university needs to ensure that its primary stakeholders, the students and the faculty, are provided with the essential resources, the services, and the support that they need to effectively compete in the real life that they're dealing with. We are building a 21st century and a 22nd century community, okay? There is an obligation that Howard has, which goes beyond the students that are currently being served. They are representatives of our future, and they are representatives of the diaspora at large. We must be agile, we must be nimble and capable enough to advance and build a blueprint that can help us to enjoy an equitable share of what's on the horizon for our communities. We need social justice reforms, and we must learn how to build new economies so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. Most of the protests that this campus has had in its past is because the stakeholders were not included in the decisions that were being made. It's been because visions didn't align. It's because the university's understanding of its missions and its purpose may not have been in the hands of the right stewards. So what do we do? How do we address this? How can we make Howard better? Howard is an institution made up of people who have historically had to do much more with very little, okay? We have mastered the ability to do that. We have learned how to fail fast and improve the process. Industry uses that methodology to create greatness. We are capable and can do the same. Yes. Okay, this concept is not unique to Howard. What Howard is facing is also being faced by hundreds of other institutions and HBCUs around the world. We must build solutions that can be applied here on the ground and replicated in other places where the need arises. Okay, we must have a harmonious learning environment. Okay, and the ability to measure the results against a common set of purpose. We must engage with our stakeholders. They are dependent on our ability to do that. You cannot use an echo chamber full of people who have personal agendas and ideas and throw up or blow away a shared governance model that has well served this university for over 50 years. We must use that platform as a way to make the university better, create a path towards the Howard Forward future that's being envisioned. That program may need to be reevaluated because it didn't represent all the right voices and the people being in the room to help make those decisions. We must take whatever insights we can glean from those who are assembled here, from the students who are brilliant. Dr. Frederick, you said it yourself. 30,000 students applied, you accepted 3,000. Those were the best and the brightest that America had to offer. We need to tag in, include those students in the needs that the university has. We should create consortiums and build partnerships. There are other institutions and other HBCUs that depend on Howard to lead the way. We're failing. We must step up. We need to create economies of scale so that we can bargain for better prices and work with the vendors who want to work with us. There must be a quid pro quo, okay? We should be a preferred client. You don't get to walk in here at Blackboard, Corvace, and Workday and give us your blank, okay? We need service and support. We're paying premium dollars and it's not being delivered. We should not have faculty and staff not being paid for several months while you try to figure it out. Not on our dime anymore. Not anymore. In essence, we should not accept marginal goods and services from any vendor or anybody, okay? These companies must be held accountable for their lack of delivery and the failure to meet our timely performance and our needs. And as a board of trustees, I have a message for you all. You have a duty and you need to execute those duties. Your stewardship requires you to have a duty of care. That duty of care requires you to ensure that you're prudently using all the assets, all the facilities, the people, and especially the goodwill that this university has. You have a duty of loyalty. You need to ensure that the activities and the transactions that you're involved with, first and foremost, advance Howard's mission. Recognize and disclose any conflicts of interest, make prudent decisions that are in the best interest of the university stakeholders, not in the best interest of individual board members or other individuals who may have profit in mind. You have a duty of obedience. You need to ensure that the university takes care and obeys all applicable laws and regulations, and in particular, the bylaws. You have bylaws that you need to adhere to. It's included in our stated purpose and our mission of truth and service. But this university must also be willing to embrace change. And it must do it at a pace where it's enabling us to shift the paradigm as needed. This pandemic has changed the dynamics everywhere in the world for work, life, for school, and everything. So the university needs to figure out how to do the best it can with the investments of our students, our faculty, their time, their money, and their intellectual property and other resources. We need to ask, if needed, assistance from those in our alumni community who can engage and support the university through the pool of talent that is richly here. Together, we must work to discover what are the viable solutions to the myriad of vexing problems that faces the university. Whether it's in the academic realm, whether it's the broken infrastructure that requires replacement, whether it's management, more effective way of handling the financials that the university has in front of it, and how to build residential complexes, taking advantage of the footprint that's still left here that hasn't been eroded by gentrification. This university has a demand on it. There are conditions that have conspired to adversely affect multiple generations and shortchange the students here, but we must put it to a decisive end. It's a requirement. We must do this. We must become independent thought leaders, not just adopters of other people's bad advice. We need to reach within our hallowed halls here and apply solutions that are unique to Howard. Our solutions require us to be focused and to be Mecca-minded in putting those solutions on the table. Okay, so in closing, I just want to say that it may require the Howard University community to work together. Novel idea. We have the diaspora to reach out to for solutions and to get help. We need to challenge our Howard students, alumni, especially to give back to alma mater, whatever that means in this season of discontent. There's a lot of voices expressing concerns about this situation. Many are fired up and ready to go. Let's take advantage of that. Let's preserve this auspicious institution. We all hold the Mecca in high esteem, so let's galvanize these forces. Don't let the students just be heard. We need to understand them. When you know better, you do better. Let's resolve these challenges so that the students can get back to their primary purpose, which is learning and preparing for their bright futures, to become stalwarts and leaders of the community, future Academy Award winners, future Nobel Prize winners, titans of industry, and perhaps even a future president. This moment must serve symbolically, like the sculpture over here at Blackburn, which is entitled A Bridge Across and Beyond. We need to move past the current situation, get past the impasse, and look at the bright future ahead of us. In the meantime, on behalf of my colleagues at the Capstone Group and many others who've been serving and supporting the students, we want to share with you, there are 7 ways that you can assist the student body today. And leaving you, I just want to say, HU! The Capstone Group's website is www.hucapstonegroup.com. Please, there are flyers circulating. www.hucapstonegroup.com. Thank you.
Mari, right? Yeah, I got underlying conditions. Go ahead, thank you. Do that.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Sister Johnson. And let's have another round of applause, really, because that very detailed and laid out in great detail. And we are all who went to HBCUs, HBCU nationalists. I'm a Tennessee State nationalist for sure. We got the best marching band. Anyway, I do want all the smoke, but take all the smoke. But one thing I must say, in 21 years of working at Howard, among our HBCUs, and I'm including University of the West Indies, University of Cape Town, University of Ghana, all our Black institutions in the world, this one is singularly unique. The convening of intellectual work, power, and the alumni network really is representative of what our people mean globally. And this next brother who we bringing up, even as talking to Sister Suji and others, the Hustle alum, Howard University School of Law, have a tent. When you think about the lawyers who have been trained at this institutions and the lawyers that trained them from Charles Houston, well, no, Charles Houston is late in the game. Charlotte Ray and Mary Ann Shadd Cary in the 19th century, coming through to people like Pauli Murray and Spotswood Robinson and Oliver Hill and all those students who were trained, who went out and killed Jim Crow. The brother we're about to hear from now, in addition to being a founder of Ubiquity, and as honorary ubiquitarian, I'm very happy to say that they allowed me to hang out with them a little bit. He is a warrior, a word warrior. The lawyer who never says no, can always be depended upon to stand in the gap between the students and any force that would try to oppose this vision that we're hearing articulated today. So without further ado, from Philly and DC and Black world to the fight on the ramparts, our dear brother, Attorney Donald Temple. Brother Donald.
God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on our way, thou who hast by thy light by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in thy path, we pray. People, lest our feet stray, from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts drunk with the wines of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. 50 years ago, I came here as a little scrawny freshman, the first in my family to attend college, the son of a man who swept floors for 40 years at the Philadelphia Gas Works, never to see even a high school classroom. It is an honor and a privilege and a tribute to not only my father or my mother, but their fathers and their mothers, and their fathers and their mothers, and their fathers and their mothers, to share this moment with you. I don't take it lightly. I love Howard University. We love Howard University. Not merely for what it was or for what it is, but because of its promise. Not merely for those who are here, but for the children of the children of the children that are not yet born. Very few understand the meaning of this sojourn, April, on this sacred ground. Surely the same experience is shared by those who attend FAMU and North Carolina A&T and Lincoln, Spelman and Morehouse. Here at Howard University, even as we speak, we're in the shadows of Frederick Douglass Hall, Ira Aldrich Theater, Allen Locke, Tubman, Bethune. These are sacred moments. The wingspan of the Howard University educational experience, something that Charles Hamilton Houston anticipated when he grasped the need for Black people to understand the value and significance of education and what it would mean to a people who have been deprived of education by law. Some of us may have forgotten or may not even know what a compulsory ignorance law is. For centuries, it used to be against the law to teach a Black man or woman how to read or write, subject to fine and or imprisonment. It was critical for the domination of Black people that you were compelled to be ignorant. And that was against a backdrop, again, by law, where we were bought and sold like chattel property, where our humanity, our dignity, our psychological health, our family structure, our very identity and the essence of who we are was deprived. Not for 5 years, not for 10 years, but a child born, Roz, in 1864 would say that my mother's mother, my mother's mother's mother, my mother's mother's mother, my mother's 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 mother could be taken and sexually abused or sold away from her children. So it's against this backdrop that we come here today. We are talking about one Howard University. One Howard University. We are criticized in the spectrum of debate, and many of us are told that we live in the past by people who make decisions regarding this institution. I say to you, we don't live in the past. The past lives in us. And it will continue to live in us, and it should until there is not a breath left in our space and in our beings. Howard is miraculous. Howard is miraculous. That a little scrawny boy from Philadelphia could graduate and go to law school or medical school or get an MBA, or young girls could come here from Brooklyn or North Carolina, Atlanta, LA, Dallas, and then come here and actualize. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, to actualize. When my young brother here in fine arts, you with me? When you come here and you begin to actualize, you see things you never saw before. You do things you never imagined. And sometimes, like this sister here, you want to quit, but then you come back and you keep coming, because that's what Howard is. It's miraculous. It reflects something that all too many of you know. And I've known some of you since you've been 18 years old. Like that guy back there with that gray skull cap on. And I love each and every one of you. I want to say this, and it's really more thematic, folks. I don't want to talk about the students. I don't want to talk about necessarily the issues that we care about and will continue to care about with the alumni and the board. But what I want to talk about in closing is this. We are walking on living pages of history. And everything that we do has an implication. Everything that we do. What Howard does, and it's been said, is not merely what Howard does, but so many things that the students do and that the alumni do, and that we learn in these very halls here emanates from Howard, not only in the United States, not only in Jamaica or Panama or Colombia, not only in Ghana or South Africa or Namibia or Guinea, but we are the promise of a changing world. We want the board to understand that we understand the technological implications of the 21st century and that we're moving into an information age. We understand what that means. We understand the financial challenges that are associated with maintaining a university. We understand the challenges that we face. But what we must understand more than anything is this, is that we're not separate integral parts, that we are an integrated phenomenon, that the students are connected to the faculty, that the faculty are connected to the university, that the university is connected to the alumni, and that the alumni and all these integral shareholders and stakeholders are connected every day to every decision that the Board of Trustees makes pertinent to this university. I would just say to you, to the extent that we come here today, the call is for the love of Howard University and everything that it means. Divided, we cannot stand. And lastly, a people without vision shall perish. Thank you. One thing. HU?
Thank you, DT.
I know that's right. All right. Make sure this goes back here. It's being live streamed and there are a couple of microphones on here.
I know that's right.
You ain't getting that back.
This is Gene. All right, so thank you, DT. That was brilliant, brother. And we are now to our final two speakers. And we know that students we support, the students we surround are in many ways the agents that create the point of entry for these moments that we have to have. And it's been the case since the beginning of HBCUs. The academics agree. Around 1837, Institute for Colored Youth, it becomes Cheney. And then soon after, Lincoln University. And we know that the principal of Cheney, Octavius Catto, was killed after he closed the university, closed the school to go vote in Philly, murdered in the streets in South Philly. And we see the student movements throughout the 20s, the 30s on this campus, or Hurston and them. It's like, we go to chapel because we want to, not because you won't make us go. The new Negro movement, we saw student movements all over, the 1940s, anti-lynching, the 1950s and 60s, giving birth to the young people that transformed this entire country in many ways. And of course, every generation making its mark. The next voice you hear is a person who, when we were all in undergrad and grad school, and law school, wandering around, was representative of almost a mythical group. Many of you are here today. That group in the 1980s and early 90s, Black Neo-Force, that group in the 1980s and 90s that said, Lee Atwater, okay, I guess we got to set it off now. All over this country, inspired students all over this country to say enough is enough. Because as Howard goes, so go the rest of these HBCUs. And so it was with great pleasure we bring a sister who was almost a myth to me till I got a chance to meet her several years ago. And if you haven't read my colleague Josh Meyer's book, you should get that, because it's very important to understand that this student movement in 1989 really in many ways is the link in the chain that links 68 and today. And this is the last time you'll hear my voice, because she's gonna bring on her brother after this, as well as should be, and get this momentum going. So without any further ado, our sister, April Silver.
Oh, not that.
Yes. Family, y'all still look good. Y'all feel good. Do you feel good? You have to. You absolutely have to. Can you hear me well? All right. The first thing I want to do is give a shout out to everybody from Black Neoforce who is here. We deserve a round of applause. Ariane Pope, Alejandro, that's Rocker. Every Houston president who is here. Fritz Jean, I don't know who else I might be missing, but that's the lineage. But I also want to invoke two women in particular, if I may, because they gave me some lifelong lessons about love on this campus. Can you hear me now? Is that better? All right. All right. It's like I haven't done this before. The two women who I want to invoke who taught me about love on this campus. The elder first is Sonia Sanchez, who sends her love. She couldn't be with us today, but I invited her. She wants you to know she is here in spirit. She sends her love, as she always does, to her Howard family. She's a Howard mom. I met her through her son in an English class here on campus. And the other person I'd like to invoke is, we first knew her as Lisa Williamson, and we know she became Sister Soldier. Sister Soldier taught us that love is demonstrative. And the moment she said that, it helped me to understand and have a different orientation about what love is. So I have to give her that credit because it changed my life. And she is still active. And I met her through Raz Morocco. And Steve Jackson, okay, pause, sorry. Can we please give love and respect and gratitude to Dr. Steve Jackson and Jam Shakwi for the work that they have done, helping to lift up and amplify and to protect the students who are protesting. You have no idea. They came to be on campus for 2 days, and they have been here for 10 days at least, unexpectedly, because they love this university and the students. So I just had to say that. Yes, if we clap for the next hour, it wouldn't be enough, just to let you know. It was Sonia Sanchez and Sister Soldier that taught me very explicitly about love. And when we were in the administration building, those of us from the Coalition of Concerned Students, if you remember, the coalition of all of the students who came together to protest the appointment of Lee Atwater to the Board of Trustees, we were in the administration building for several days, and somebody from this campus, was it President Cheek? Was it the board chair? But it was a Howard University official, called the militia on us. And as I have said over and over, and as it is articulated in the book, We Are Worth Fighting For, when the militia comes in helicopters and lands on the top of the building with guns drawn and batter rams and such, they don't come to ask you to leave. But that's what Howard University did to us. That's the Howard University. If we're going to tell the truth, can we tell the whole truth? So we can be clear on this sacred ground that we stand. That is where Sonia taught me, Mama Sonia, when they ask you, but why are you mad and why are you fighting against the university? April, tell them it's because you love this university. And that which we love, we're supposed to stand up for and demand better. And it's been 32 years and we are back at the flagpole. It's been 32 years since we were in that administration building fighting for our lives. And who said it? Was that you, Dr. Jackson? It's not a myth, right? This is real talk, in case you didn't know. So Sonia said, it is because we love this university. And Sister Soldier taught that love is demonstrative. You have to demonstrate and put your love into action. What I'd like to do, because I stand on the shoulders of those women, is ask us to get a little bit past the love, right? Love is important and is critical, and we are here at this Howard Unity Day. I conceived of it because y'all pushed us to make this happen, right? This unity that y'all pushed us to say, what are we going to do because we love those students over there? What are we going to do because we have to intertwine all of this goodbye? Everybody's up in their feelings, as well we should be, because we love this institution. But what I'd like us to consider is when we are not all up in our feelings, then what do we do, right? What is the work and the sacrifices? And what I'd like us to consider at least two things if we're going to get past the love. Before those two things, the president of this university loves this university. He said so. He graduated 3 times from this university. The president of the chairperson of the board of Howard University is a Howard alum. So we don't question your love, right? We all love this institution. But what is your character? And what choices do you make with that love? Because maybe, and I'm not calling names, but maybe some of us love things more than we love people. Maybe some of us amongst us can elevate beyond the fleeting romantic sense of love and could examine our character and what we do with the choices that we make that affect the day-to-day lives of the students and the faculty and the staff and the alum. So we don't question your love. We are here to respectfully and honorably question your character and to question your choices and what sacrifices do you make? What God are you appeasing when you're in that boardroom? What decisions are you making that impact that there was a time, and I think it was Dr. Myers who illuminated this for me. When we were here, and y'all can correct me if I get any of this wrong. When we were here, there were employees directly employed on this campus that provided services, right? We have to shout out Ms. McLeod, don't we? We have to shout out Ms. Roberta McLeod and William Keene, who we knew as Dean Keene. Now we have corporate partners that run housing. We have so-called corporate partners that run, is it Sodexo that runs the food services? We have corporate entities that run administration and I think, other places. So everybody's running interference. That wasn't always the case. We are here to examine the corporatization. Part of what we want to examine is the corporatization of this institution. And we know it's a trend. We know that institutions of higher learning have transformed their boards over the decades so that you have millionaires and billionaires and venture capitalists running the board, right? We know that's a trend. I don't know how we got to be the institution that follows the status quo, but that's a real legacy here. That's a real legacy. The messaging is that we're here to honor the positive legacy of Howard University, right? So we know it's a trend that people get millions of dollars to govern. We know that. But is that right for us? Is that right for this institution? If we say we love Black people, aren't we supposed to have a different standard? Aren't we supposed to have different parameters by which we relate to one another? That's why half of us are here at HBCU in the first place, because we was following the love. But then we get here and we don't have that. And that I'm here because I was one of the architects of the '89 protests. I was a HUSA president, 90-91. I'm here also because I'm a member of Howard Alumni United. So the question is, the character is what we have to examine. That's important. The choices that we make when we say we love this institution, how we govern ourselves. You can't say you love us, but don't give us a seat at the table. That is a critical dysfunction. And so I just want to leave on that. There's a million and one things that I could say more, I didn't write it down because I was guided by the love. But uh, this moment in time could not even be planned. And guess what? It wasn't. The students have said publicly and repeatedly that this occupation was impromptu. So I want to pay homage to the spirit of our ancestors that orchestrated all of this. We can find the good in this and make it transformative. Yes, it's about material conditions and our living conditions that is critical, and it's more than that. Here is a golden opportunity that we have to transform this university from the inside out. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in one semester. We need alumni, as great as we are, to do more and to do better. We can admit that, right? All of us can do better individually, and all of you. We need the students to do better. We need faculty to do better. We are not so self-righteous that we can only point the finger outward. We know better than that, right? So we can examine ourselves, examine our character and our choices, and make sure that our sacrifices are for more than our personal, financial, monetary gain. That is what we're trying to get to the root of. So on that note, I agree with, we changed the program and I agreed with it, right? That I would introduce my brother. I don't know why I agreed to do that, because there aren't enough words to adequately contextualize who this man is. Yes, he's the son of Amina and Amiri Baraka. Yes, he is the vice president of the Howard University Student Association. But bigger than that, in some ways, he is a lover of Black people. He is the co-founder of Black Nia Force on campus. And he is currently the city of Newark's mayor. So can we, that was just a little, that was just some titles. Can we please bring to the stage the person who's gonna close us out, my brother, my friend, who came here from Newark with his son. So he's a dedicated father, Mayor Rajjua Baraka.
Woo. Sorry about that.
Thank you. So it feels good to be on Howard campus. It always does. I'm glad to be able to bring my son here as well, so he could get the kind of vibes and the spirit of all of the people who walked on this yard. I think we take it for granted, the people who stepped foot on this campus, who walked up and down these hallways, who were here getting the education, but changing the world at the same time, pushing Black people, pushing this country, pushing the world. I just want to say something to the students, and I want to talk to all of us as supporters of the students too. I was in that situation, and protesting is not romantic. People like to make it romantic, but it wasn't romantic for me. I stood outside of the administration building in the cold all by myself. In the middle of the night, I was the first person to see the helicopters land in Banneker Playground and the police get in them. And we had this plan to put the sisters on the back stairwells, thinking that the police wouldn't run over the sisters, but I saw them cut a hole in the roof. And I was the only one out there, and I had the responsibility to let everybody else know that we were under attack. And I was just in complete shock. And the interesting thing, I snuck in the building the night before that to get some rest, because I was on outside security. I needed to get some rest. And so I was sleeping, and somebody woke me up and told me, "You're not supposed to be in the building," and put me out. And so I left. I think it was Glennis. Yeah, and she made me go outside, and I left. And glad I did. I had stood right there. In fact, I was on the School of Social Work. I left and went on it's like a little ramp right there on the School of Social Work. I stood there a while, and I looked and saw the helicopters and the police being dropped. I said, this plan that we got is not going to work. So we had walkie-talkies too. I don't know how we got all this stuff, but we had him. And I was yelling, get those people off the steps. Get those people off the steps. And the whole thing changed, and we realized that it was serious, that these people would hurt us. I just want to tell you, students, when I came here because April called me and made me come here. And, I love how it is responsible for everything that, I've been able to do in my life. Besides my mother and father, they deserve all of the credit, and Howard University. I'm just going to say that. And protesting was a part of my education at Howard University. Your protesting is a part of your education at Howard University. It is a part of it. It's not, I don't think we're going to have a time when people are not going to protest. I think it is a part of your coming of age at this university, your ability to see the world as it is. And once you begin to understand the world and understand yourself in it, you automatically begin to figure out that it is your duty and your responsibility to change it. And that you can't live in it the way it already exists, and it has to change, right? That becomes your responsibility. So protesting is a part of that. So I don't want you to feel like you're doing anything wrong, because you're not. What you're doing is in the tradition of thousands of people that came before you, even the people we named the buildings after, were also protesters in many different ways. So I just want you to be clear on that and not be shamed by people who want you to be embarrassed by the fact that you are standing up for what you think is right. And they want you to believe that this is against Howard's tradition. No, it is in Howard's tradition that you do this. I just want you to be clear on that. As a matter of fact, you should be proud. The thing I'm concerned about is, and I think God makes things happen all the time for a reason. I was a boy at Howard University. When I look back, I was 17 years old, 18. I was a kid, a child, trying to be a man with all these ideas, but I was just a kid, falling down, making mistakes, trying to be important to somebody that I didn't grow up, to be yet, and I figured all this stuff out with the help of so many people at this university, right? And so when people asked me to come down here before, I kind of was like, I don't know if I want to come. And not because I don't want to support the protest, because I want to support the students and what you're doing. I just knew that when we took over the administration building, we only let students in there. I wasn't a student. Like, I'm not a student here anymore. So I'm coming only to support. We only let students in there because we believed that it was our protest, our ideas, our thing had to be pushed. It was our ability to step up. We had to do this. Nobody else had to do it. It was our job, our responsibility, and your job was to support us to do that. So we took the support, but I stood outside. The football team blocked the doors from the police. The football team was in there with us. That's what happened. And as the football game goes on right now, while the football players going right now, I walked into Cook Hall. That's how we got I walked into Cook Hall with Brother Yamil and Brother Charles, and we walked into Cook Hall together, and we got those football players, and they walked down to this administration building, and they got in the protest with us. And I'm saying that to say that we, young people, students, you have to figure out how to get everybody involved. Everybody has to be involved. Everybody might not want to be involved, but we got to get everybody involved. And that takes organization and discipline. Things happen spontaneously. How you say that word? Spontaneously. Things happen spontaneously, but after that, you have to organize yourself. You have to get organized and have discipline and get these kids involved. They want to be, they scared, they don't know how, Give them a pathway. You have to speak language that people understand. You cannot separate yourself from the other people on this campus. There are not people who are smart enough to be in the A building and or in Blackburn, and people who just feel like they don't want to be involved. Everybody wants to be involved. You got to give them a way to get involved. You got to go organize them, find out where they are, sit where they are, go in the library if you had to. We went classroom to classroom. We pulled fire alarms when we had to. We cleared the buildings. I did a rally right here at this flagpole while April Silver was in Blackburn organizing other people. You got to get these students involved. Thousands of students here. You got to get them involved. You got to be able to organize them and get them involved. Do not be satisfied with the 10, 15, 20, 30, even 100 people. We organized with people we didn't even agree with. That's what United Front means. We organized with people we didn't even agree with. We argue with these people, but we wanted them involved in the protest. Why? That's how you win. Do you know that the purpose of this is to win something? Some people would have you be here out of nostalgia. They would have you do this because they like the protest. That's why I'm telling you that it's not romantic. It's not romantic. The purpose of this is to win something. Material conditions have to change. You have to win something. You have to get something out of this. You have to get something, and it does not stop here. You got to keep doing things, keep doing more and more and more, as much as you can to get as much as you can. That's what you have to do, right? So you don't want to do this and not get anything at all. The greatest day for me was when they came in the building and told us Lee Atwater walked off the board of trustees. That's the greatest day. Yep. The second greatest day is when Marion Barry came on the campus and made the police leave. That's why he always gonna be my man. That's why I slept on the concrete outside. When he was on trial, I slept outside on the concrete to go to his trial. I slept outside on the concrete. Why? Because when I was being attacked right here, I don't give a damn what nobody say. When I was being attacked right here, he walked up on this campus and made these police go home. He said, you should be fighting crime, not students. That's what he said. That's the history. That's a fact. That's a fact. So I'm a Marion Barry supporter. And that's just the way it's going to be, right? And we can debate about all kind of other stuff, but that's my brother, my father, everything, he is. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that we need all of us young people, all students, all of us got to be involved. All of these young people that are out here, they got to get involved. Do what you can to get them involved. Even when this is over, you have to continue to organize. The protest is a tool of larger organization. It is not the end. People who make you believe it's the end are people who do not understand. It is a piece in a larger struggle. There are other places you're gonna have to struggle, other forums you're gonna have to debate, other places you're gonna have to engage in. But ultimately, it's just the beginning, not the end. When we walked out of the administration building, we didn't stop, it wasn't over. We continued. As a matter of fact, more things happened. Cheeks left. He left. We had a vigil in front of his house. He left. He left the campus, right? And hey, I'm just telling you history that I know of. You could check it. I don't know. But it was some other stuff happening. So it didn't end, right? As a matter of fact, because of that, April and I got elevated. We became the president and vice president of the Howard University Student Association. Changed people's minds and the culture of this campus. And Hawk Islam was our campaign manager over there, the oldest guy here. But anyway, this campus began to change, man. I remember going to class and listening to the jazz being played at the flagpole. It was a different Antonio Park. It got to be a different place then. It got to be a different place then. Got to see the red, black, and green flag flying from the flagpole. It got to be we changed the vibe and the culture and the feeling on this campus And that's what students have to do. That's not my job, that's your job. That's not what I'm here for. That's what the student's responsibility is. That's your responsibility here to make the place the way you want it to be. This is your educational environment. You have to take charge and responsibility of your own educational environment. You have to demand what you want to be taught in those classrooms, what the feeling is when you walk on this campus, who gets to be on the campus, who doesn't. Conferences, speakers, you have to bring these people here. You have to elevate the intelligentsia right here on this campus. You got to bring people in, even if they aren't professors. You have to bring people to this campus to teach on the yard. That's what you have to do. That's what the students have to do. I'm here to support that. I'm here to support. I'm not here as the mayor or any of that stuff. I'm here as an alumni to support students at Howard University because my sister called me and said I should be here. That's it. That's why I came down here. And you know, I pray that you get everything that you desire out of this and more. And for the adults, the older adults that are here, because these children are adults, they're not babies, you know. I'm 50 something, so you know, I was 17, man. It's crazy. We try to live through what you guys are doing. We can't do that. We have our own responsibility. There are things that we need that we have to fight for ourselves. And that we have to partner with you, obviously, to get you to understand the connection between all of our struggles. But these are our fights. We cannot put our fights onto you. These are our fights. These are our struggles. This is our ability to get together and organize our peers, people on our job site, organize people in our neighborhood, in our community, in our city. It's our job to do that part of it, right? And protect you while you get an education here. Our job, make sure you get an education because we need you to graduate. We need you to go out here because it is crazy out here. We're in a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous period, and we need help. We need help, and we need brilliant people on this campus to get all the information that you can get and come out here and help us. Our job is to make sure this institution lives, that it continues in all of its fallacy, all of its weakness, all of its error. We need it to exist. And that sounds like a contradiction, but the reality is it's true. We need it to exist. We need it to stand tall, right? And we need to force it to live even with people who are trying to tear it down, outside and inside. We got to keep it alive. And we got to make sure that you graduate from here. That's our job. There's all kinds of things a lot of us believe we involved in this organization and that organization and this organization. Then we come and try to organize you into it, and we can't even organize the people in our own city, in our own block, in our own neighborhood. We don't organize the people around us, so we come put it on you. We come and put it on you. Our job is to organize these people. Our job. So if we have a problem with the president, it's something that we have to do. We got a problem with other things that are happening here, policies and stuff. We have to step in the way we need to step in. We have to step in and partner with you, not take over, partner with you. I'm not in charge. Students are in charge. The students are in charge. It's your battle, but we here with you. That's what we're supposed to do. Wrap our arms around you. So if you're here and you're not here to wrap your arms around these students, you should go home. You should go home. No. Do you want him to speak or? Oh, okay.
Are you a student? I want you to speak.
Well, at the end of the day, folks, we all came down here because we love Howard University, right? And we all together in this. In one form or another, we together in this. Completely and totally together. And we're going to be together. We're going to be together. That means that if I'm not in your presence, that my job is to protect you even when you're not around. So when people say stuff about the students, I'm supposed to protect the students. When people say stuff about the organizers, I'm supposed to protect the organizers, right? That's what we're supposed to do, completely and totally. And finally, we have to be disciplined, y'all. We got to be disciplined. Our enemies are too big. I know we got this thing, we like to pretend we got these magic powers. Our enemies are big, and they're amongst us in this crowd. And they out here everywhere. They're big and they're consistent. That means they have never stopped. And each time we win, they come to, you know, push us back again and again and again. We have to be disciplined. We have to be clear. We have to be organized. We have to be organized. We have to be organized, right? So at some point, we need to have a larger meeting here. At some point, we need to have a larger meeting with more students. Talking to students about the issues and ideas that should be happening at Howard University. Then if you guys want to have another meeting with all of us, I'll come to that too. With all of the faculty and the staff and the alumni and everybody else, I think we need to have a meeting as well, because we have some responsibilities that we have shirked, that we've been living in nostalgia for too long. It's time for us to take responsibility for the school that educated us. And let's have a meeting there. We could do it on Zoom. I'm down for the Zoom too. We could do a Zoom meeting. We could all get together, thousands, tens of thousands of us if need be. Multiple meetings to talk about the direction of Howard University. I'm down for that, right? Let us do that. Let us do that. Let us do that. And then when the students call us back to have a larger meeting, even with students and faculty and alumni, then we can put together a real list of demands that is well thought out, that includes the things that the faculty and the staff need, that the students want and desire, that the alumni expect, that's just not demands on the university, but also demands on this government. That's right. That's right. Not just demands on the university, but demands on the people down the street from the university. Right? Then we make larger demands about what it is we need to make happen here. That's important. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me and having us on this campus. You know, this I still think it's home. Howard's still home to me. When I walk around this campus, I get that feeling. The electricity that I used to feel when I walked on the campus is not as much as it was. And there's something about that. Something's missing. I told my sister April that when I was walking. I said, there's something missing. The electricity that I used to feel when I came on the campus, I don't feel it like that no more. Yeah, I just don't feel it, you know? I used to feel something when I walked here. It used to like inspire me. I just don't feel it. How do we get it back? I don't know, right? I know what we did, but that was in 1989, 1990. It's 2021. Y'all got to figure out what you need to do to bring that electricity back to this campus. Let's bring it back. I mean, it was so electric on this campus, they had Puffy on the roof with his fist in the air. But you had Puff Daddy on the A building with his fist in the air. That's real stuff. That was so electric on this campus. That's the stuff that happened. So let's try to get it back there again, please. God bless y'all and Godspeed to you, man. Thank you.
That is the, thank you, Brother Baraka. That is the formal end of the moment. The day turned out beautifully. So for the folks, particularly those who have traveled got a little time maybe for everybody to talk to one another. And it could get everybody who spoke today, I think Jan wants to make sure he documents this. So everybody who was a speaker, just come for a second. But other than that, you know, travel home safe. And that plan we just heard sounds like a good plan, right? It's a good plan. So let's all give ourselves another round of applause for all of our ancestors, all of the people who were here, the live stream, everybody watching. Spread the word. This is the beginning. Yeah.
So good. I didn't know you was so good. I was feeling that. Oh, yeah. Good. Where we at? Where we looking? And you know. Yeah. All right. Hey. Hey, man. Y'all got the serious. We got a meeting now. Are you back?